My name is Glüme, and you're listening to Vcrworld.
I was on a film set for a month and a half, and I took rapid COVID tests every morning. And it
Right.
was a certain kind of brand. And the control color, it looks like a pregnancy test. The
Mhm.
control color was pink. And if it turned blue after that, you had COVID.
Oh,
So you don't want to see blue on that
right.
test. So I got a different brand this morning. And I took the test just because, I getting ready for the holidays and
Yeah.
want to make sure, play it safe. I'm probably just gonna take tests all week, and I don't know. And I saw a blue line and immediately started crying.
Oh
Called
my
my
God.
doctor and said my rapid was positive, and told my parents. I was freaking out.
Wow.
Went and got a really expensive PCR test. And then I got home and my partner was like, "That's the control line." And I was like, "What do you mean? It's blue." And he's like, "Yeah, but on this test, it says that pink means COVID." I was like, "Why would they do that? Does the FDA not at some point say that like we should all agree upon a color?"
Yeah. I
Because
I I I thought
that's
maybe you
very
were gonna
misleading.
say I accidentally bought a pregnancy test and it turns out I'm pregnant.
It's that bad. I was literally there was like they had run up an order for like a what is it, antibody transfusion for me at Cedar Sinai because I have lupus, and they were like,
Yeah.
you're gonna die, so we're gonna get you in the hospital. And then I called them back and I was like, so I think it might be negative. And they were like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "So this test, the blue is the control." And they're like, "Okay." And I was like, "I swear it makes a lot of sense if you were on my set for a month and a half.
Yeah.
Because you just like blue was bad."
Right.
And so yeah, so I saw blue and my heart sank and I was like, "Blue,
Oh
COVID."
my God. Yeah, I've had some scares too. I thought I've had COVID multiple times. I've never gotten it. I guess I'm just really lucky. I don't know. Because I
Haven't
go
either.
places.
Yeah, me too. I play
I'm
shows.
I am
Yeah.
immersing myself in like mosh pits and wherever I can go where there's tons of
Like
people.
you should have had it.
I dive into situations where it's like, oh well, he's gonna get it. You know, people in the crowd are like, oh, that guy, he's gonna walk out of here with COVID for sure. I never got it.
I haven't gotten it. I try to be really careful because I have like a laundry list of health conditions.
Yeah.
It's like a scroll of like, what do you
Oh my
have?
God. Wow.
And so there's so many reasons not to get COVID.
Yeah. Well, good for
me.
you that you have not gotten it, correct?
Yeah, I have not. I tried to be careful, but
That's
sometimes
good.
when you play a show, it's like,
Right.
how do you do that carefully? There's just a bunch of people in that room.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember whenever this whole thing first started, I was like, this is like a fucking dream. Like, is this real? This is crazy. It's like a movie. It's almost exciting.
Feels like a Netflix show.
It definitely does, but it's going on a little longer than it should, I think.
But now it's starting to feel like life. Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. And I remember like okay, so the first time I went to the grocery store where this whole thing started, I wore my ski goggles and
I've worn goggles.
Yeah, and I wrapped like a shirt around my face. I think I was wearing like a helmet or something. I think I went out with a helmet on. I don't know why. And I wore ski gloves. And people were like bumping into me at the grocery store. And I was like, back the fuck off. You know, I was freaking out.
Get away.
I was terrified. I really was. I was like treating it like it was the plague and I was going to bleed out of my pores.
Yeah, but no, I totally did the same thing. And it was like pandemonium. I lived in downtown at the time. I literally moved. I moved to Los Feliz because it felt like there were less people.
Yeah.
Like a literal move. Like that's that's fear.
And on top of that, I mean, you're a musician, so this had to like really impact your life and your schedule and your career. I mean,
It was weird. It was,
yeah.
I got signed in the middle of it. So it was like, we're not even thinking about touring, which is weird. We are now, but we weren't when I got signed. It was like, we want to release your album. How do we promote it? And we just made like so many music videos.
Yeah.
And
I love your music videos. They're so good.
like, thank you. I tried to like have fun on TikTok. Like I didn't know what to do because like we couldn't tour the album. And so we just tried to get creative online. But
right.
I think we're talking about a tour for the second album. So
incredible. Do you know when that might be?
I'll get like every booster shot you can get.
Yeah.
Boosted and
yeah, just get boosted up.
Yeah, for a while I wasn't allowed to get the vaccine because I get coronary artery spasms, and apparently people with my condition were having heart attacks when they got the vaccine, which is so rare, and everyone should get the vaccine. All children listening, get the vaccine. This is the most rare condition you'll ever hear about. This happens to no one. The vaccine does not cause heart attacks.
I heard about this.
But just in these people who have this specific condition, where inflammation can cause a heart attack, any inflammation. Like if I got a really bad flu, that would not be good for me either. Like, the vaccine is great. Everyone get it. But,
absolutely. Get the fucking vaccine. Leave your house right now. Yeah.
Go get the vaccine.
Stop listening to this podcast.
Eventually they were like, fuck that. Even if that's a risk, you still need to get the vaccine because this isn't going anywhere. And so I was terrified when I'm like, oh, you get the vaccine. You're just like, was that, do I? Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, no heart attack. And
so where are you located? Are you in LA or?
Yeah, I'm in LA. I live in Los Feliz, like up by Griffith Park. And
nice.
Yeah. So
what do you think you're going to go for your tour? Like all over the place, all over the United States? Or are you going to go overseas?
I think I'm going to go, I think we were actually just talking about going overseas.
Nice.
Was a discussion I just heard about. Like, I don't know these things change. But that was like a discussion that we just had. So
I'm sure you'll come to Texas or like Austin or in that area.
Yeah. I'm playing South by.
Oh, nice.
For sure. So
I'll be there.
In Austin. Yay!
Yes.
I'm so excited. I've always wanted to play South by Southwest. So
yeah, it's insane. Have you ever been?
No, but I will be getting boosted right before I go because I feel like it's gonna be packed.
So when I was living in Austin, this was like in 2013. In 2013, I was playing South by Southwest, and like it's just like another world. Like it's insanely busy and packed all the time, like all venues. Yeah. And there's like hundreds of venues within arm's reach of each other. So just imagine lines. It's like Disney World, but in a city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But each thing's a band. Yeah.
Yeah. And like when I was playing, I just remember being like, holy shit, like this is the most people that have ever been to my show. And I mean, it's very intimidating, but super fun and great to network and meet people.
Sounds so fun.
Yeah, definitely is. So I'm sure you're excited to get back out and get into it and start. Yeah, that's like the best, like it's really cool to have people like listen to your music on like streaming platforms. But it's just like another world when you could see people's reactions and their faces and dancing.
So when people like at shows, like if they like sing along and everyone knows the song, I'm like,
I know, isn't that great?
Like you came here for me.
That's so.
You're not just at this place.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm always baffled, and then everyone in the room knows the song, and I'm just like, you're all. Because I have like imposter syndrome or something. But
of course, we all do.
I'm new, and it's weird because it's like when you start in COVID, it's like all like this like internet existence. So none of it feels like tangible.
Yeah.
And so like the biggest thing I've seen in real life is like there was a billboard, and that didn't even feel real because it was, just like technically I saw the billboard, but I didn't know if like the Honda next to me could see the billboard, and it just felt like there's no way that's a giant billboard. That's impossible. That's like this thing that I'm having like our like vision, like
and now we're like headed into like I think with this whole COVID thing, everybody got so comfortable being online and talking over Zoom, and now we're like headed into the metaverse. And who the fuck trusts Facebook? Because I don't. I mean, I don't trust Facebook to create a world where we could all live in safely. Just saying. I don't know. That's just me. I mean, internet bullying sucks. And just imagine actually then having to face their avatars. I guess that would be kind of cool. You know what? That would actually be kind of cool because you could have like boxing matches, like,
true.
Yeah, you could be like, fuck this person. They're talking shit. Let's box.
That's true. Yeah. No, it's weird. It's just like, it's all, nothing exists, but it all exists. And so you see numbers and you see, but like, you don't see the person. Right. And so playing shows now is so weird. You're like, people. Whoa.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's awesome. And then I'm also like wearing 2 masks after the show, and I'm like, thank you for coming.
Yeah. I remember the first time I got out. It was, oh man, I don't even remember when it was. It was like in July, I think.
Yeah.
No, it was before that. I don't remember, but I did a VCRworld event in Austin at what is the place called? It doesn't matter. The ballroom, Spider House Ballroom. And like a ton of people came, and I was like, this is actually kind of nice. Like I was kind of worried, and I had anxiety, which is like a really weird side effect of just, not being around anybody for a long time. And you're just like so comfortable at that point, you're like, okay, well, I would prefer to just stay home all the time. And I went out, and there were all these people, and they were all so fucking nice. And I was like, you know what? This is so different. Like online, people can just be like full of hate, and they'll say whatever they want because there's no repercussions.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I can't, give someone a titty twister online, but if someone fucks with me in real life, I'm probably going to do it. No, I wouldn't do that. But you know what I mean? Like, but it was weird. It was like everybody was so nice.
Yeah, I know. People are, and I feel like people are extra nice because they're excited to be at something.
Yeah.
Like they're like, oh, a thing.
I know. Yeah.
I'm not just watching Netflix at home by myself. So I feel like people are grateful to be out. But it was weird too. Like I also filmed a film this year, and I mean, I'm used to that. Like I did that as a kid, but it was like, so, everyone was so careful. Like you had to get COVID tests every morning, and then you had to go sit a few feet apart while everyone waited for the like results, and everyone was staring at each other. And then like every once in a while, like there was like only a couple scares, and that the rest of that day you were like, well, who talked to them? And and everyone's just didn't. It was hard to stay sometimes like focused on like the project when everyone was like freaking out on a day where like someone might not be feeling good or and then just also like getting these weird tests every morning and having to like stand back from each other. It was like a weird way to intro the day. If you're doing method like Lady Gaga and House of Gucci, it will definitely like pull you out of it.
Did you want to try to go method with your role?
I'm always a little method. Like I'm a Marilyn Monroe fan. So I'm a Lee Strasberg fan in consequence of loving Marilyn. But I mean, like there were times that, because it was a movie that's technically set in the 50s, but it was like kind of like an alternate reality 50s. So some people spoke in like a kind of 50s voice, and I was one of them, and some people just didn't. So I kind of talked in that like old timey Maryland voice the whole time I was there, unless like something horrible happened and I like or I was like really cold and like just needed the heater and needed it now. Like there were things that pulled me out of it, but
And
I do like method acting.
Is it similar to like your singing voice, like that kind of like? Yeah.
I also like I talk like that a lot. I go in and out, but
Can you
today
can you talk like that?
would you like it? Oh yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Today I had a COVID scare, so I'm like my least in character ever. Okay, like, oh, Marilyn. Okay, what do I say? Give me a sentence. Literally anything.
Oh, wait. I have something.
Okay.
Okay. Say your name and then say, and you're listening to VCR World. Or
okay.
And you're listening. Yeah, my name is blah blah blah. You know, you just.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. My name is Glüme, and you're listening to VCR World.
Wow, that was great.
So that's how I would talk. Okay, now I'm in it.
Wow, it's like you're a different person. I would never know.
It's cuter. I wish that would naturally come out of me without effort.
Yeah. And what made you decide to start singing like that?
I mean, no, that's the singing. I don't know. That's just how I sing. I don't think I sing.
It sounds the same almost.
Really?
Not in a bad way, in a great way.
I think because I grew up homeschooled, so there's one, and I only watched like old timey stuff like Turner Classic Movie Channel and like old movies that I really liked. I was obsessed with Marilyn and Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. Like I took tap dancing for 17 years because she did.
Right.
And right?
I know. No, I know. I was the same way. Like I wear short shorts, like a 5.5 inseam because I grew up on Chevy Chase movies.
So it's exactly your formative years matter, and that was for me a lot of like 1940s and 50s input.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I didn't have that. My other friends that I did have were all actors and just weird or theater kids. Like it wasn't like I don't know. So like it was normal to sing that way. Like when I auditioned for anything, it would always be like that. So when I did voice lessons, it was like they would be like, okay, you need to sound like this. And so I think my singing voice is just naturally, I think that's actually the proper way of speaking also. Right. Is what I just did. This is lazy talking.
So you're like enunciating more. It's like more.
So when you talk like Marilyn, your voice is very round. Everything's relaxed. Your neck isn't tight. You're not clenching your jaw or doing anything. It's actually it's the closest upgraded. Unlimited access. Okay. Great. But yeah, it's the most, it's actually the proper way of speaking. If you were to go to like a dialect, like if you were getting dialect lessons, they used to have actresses do that for film, especially right at the beginning of like talkies, to have like the proper speaking voice and tone, like round tone. If you watch Singing in the Rain, it will explain all of it, but
I need to work on mine.
Yeah, but that technically
that's like a proper British accent.
Yeah, well, that they did that to make it sound more refined. It wasn't fully like a British accent, but certain words and certain inflections would be like a little British-esque.
Yeah.
Sometimes questions would go down at the end, like we say, like, do you want coffee? And like, do you want coffee? So
do you want coffee? No,
that would go down.
Right.
Their questions.
I don't know if I could do it.
If you have a British accent, your questions, the inflection is down at the end, and then Americans
do you want coffee?
Yeah, do you want coffee?
Do you want coffee?
Do you want coffee? Yeah. So
do you want coffee?
I suppose you could do either in the British accent, but it's more like you're more likely to hear the down. So there's so back then, proper English in like a dialect, a voice coach, if you were an actress, like the MGM, like an MGM girl, you'd go to lessons until you sounded pretty when you talked. We don't do that with people anymore. We just accept that we sound like this.
Yeah.
But I think
we gave up
over it. And so, but I much prefer the like effort.
I like it.
I like it too. I wish I did it all the time. I could, but I already ruined it. Why not?
Yeah, you ruined it with this whole podcast. Let's just start over.
Let's start over.
Yeah, let's start
I'm
over.
I'm rebranding. Hold on. No, I mean, sometimes, I don't know. I do talk like that on stage.
That's good. Yeah, well, I mean, you're putting on a performance.
I had to talk like that the whole movie that I was in.
And so is this one that you were doing with Olivia?
Yeah. You know Olivia, right?
Yeah. She's come on the podcast a couple times. She's great.
Olivia.
She's so incredible. I love her so much.
She's funny.
Olivia Scott Welch, everybody. That's who we're talking about.
Olivia
Very
Scott
talented
Welch.
actress.
She's the aunt to one of my cats.
Ah, nice. I am not a godfather to anybody's cats.
Because she posted my cat on social media. That cat has had great success.
Oh,
on social
wow.
media.
She pumps it up.
She didn't know. She's not maybe like, I think she was like not a cat person, but I got in like an infant. I don't know can you tell me a play-by-play?
Yeah, a cat just fell. I don't know where the cat fell from, but a cat fell onto like a green bucket or something.
I'm not surprised. Theodore, it's okay. They do that. That's part of their thing.
Oh, man. That was incredible.
I brought up like an infant Persian cat, and Olivia was like, what is that? And she kept asking, like, do you have bones? Like, she was like so like weirded out because it was just this like ball of air and giant eyes.
Is it like a skin cat?
No, it's a Persian cat. So it's like the most fur. So it's just a circle.
Oh, okay. So it has fur.
It has so much.
Okay.
That's all it is, especially when it was like 8 weeks old. So
where's
all
the cat?
It was, Ginger Rogers. She's not here. Ginger Rogers is probably napping. It is everyone's favorite cat. Ryan, do you know where Ginger Rogers is?
Nah.
She's more important probably to the YouTube video than I am.
Whenever you say Ginger, are you talking about Ginger from Gilligan's Island?
No, I'm Ginger Rogers.
Okay, then I don't know who she is.
Is the tap dancing girl that I was obsessed with.
Oh, okay. I honestly thought whenever people say Ginger, I just assume they're talking about the girl.
That's also something I would think of. Yeah, but Ginger Rogers was like Fred Astaire's partner.
Okay.
And an actress, she did a few movies like after their partnership in her own right. She was a very good actress too. Your home is very authentic to the time that you like portraying your music with your voice, and it's just like I don't know, it's just like perfect. Every single piece of furniture in here is from the 40s. That's
amazing. I love that lamp.
The fringy
it's got like
lamp
fringe.
And then there's a lot going on up here with like taxidermy.
Oh, nice.
I don't know if you can see. There's like a weird possum that has like a crown.
And you got a pink Christmas tree.
I have a pink Christmas tree.
It's so classy.
I was gonna get dressed up for this like a normal person, but I've been flying around Beverly Hills thinking I had COVID. So
I don't blame you.
I'm in a parka and recovering.
Yeah, we were supposed to do this last week, and I felt like crap. Like
I did too. I had whatever you had.
I was coughing in my nose. Like I couldn't taste anything. First of all,
that's not a good sign.
And my nose was just like I would be sitting at my desk.
Yeah.
And just like looking down. And this is gross. I would just be dripping all over the place. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? This has never happened to me before.
Normal. Yeah.
I know. Yeah. And I'm like, I was like drinking a kombucha. I couldn't taste it. I was eating food that I couldn't taste. I was like, this is not good. But
oh no.
But I was fine. I think it was cedar. I don't know. Yeah. Well, I go on like 6 mile walks every day. So I get a lot of shit, flowing through my face and in my lungs. Yeah.
I never thought of that. Yeah. I guess allergies exist. Yeah.
Yeah. And especially, with like, I don't know how cold it is there, but here we're going through, what do you call it? whenever winter comes, a cold front.
A cold front.
Yeah,
Yes.
we had a cold front, and so that just like really screwed me.
I think that happened here too, but relatively for here. But still, our bodies here don't know what to do with whatever we get here.
Yeah.
You'd be like, that's nothing, but for what our bodies are used to, we're like 40 degrees. Like,
yeah,
I'm catching pneumonia. Like, I almost, they thought I had pneumonia last week when we were gonna do our thing.
Yeah.
And then they like were very shocked that because my doctor listened to my lungs with a stethoscope, and he's like, let's get you an x-ray. He's like, that sounds like pneumonia. And I was like,
oh no.
And which
sounded
is
like
also,
a percolator inside of there.
Put a pin in that. My worst fear is pneumonia.
Yeah.
So when he said that, I was just like, this is it.
Really?
And,
worst fear ever?
My worst fear ever is pneumonia. Here's why. So I remember the day that I was watching the news. It was very terrible, the day that Brittany Murphy died.
Oh, yeah.
And they explained all of this stuff that was like wrong with her, speculating, trying to figure out what was going on. And it was ruled pneumonia, but then they also news stories were grabbing at like the fact that she has mitral valve prolapse, which was like a kind of like a heart murmur, and she has dysautonomia, and she had autoimmune stuff, and she had POTS, and they were listing all this weird left field health stuff that I had.
Oh,
and so I would ask my doctor, I was like, am I going to end up like Brittany Murphy? Because she has all the same things as me. And my doctor was like, well, just don't get pneumonia. And I was like, got it. And so when a doctor said you might have pneumonia, it reminded me of the other doctor saying, well, just don't get pneumonia. And I was like, this is it. I was like, oh my God. And so I was freaking out, which I don't normally do because I have a lot of health problems, and that would be thoroughly exhausting if I freaked out every time there was an update that was not positive.
Man, I'm so sorry.
I'm pretty used to okay, well, what do we do with this? And anxiety is just not allowed if you have heart disease. It's bad for it, so you just can't do it. So but it was the first time I felt anxious. I was like, pneumonia. So they were the doctor's like, why are you freaking out? We'll just give you antibiotics. And I was like, Brittany Murphy had pneumonia and all my other diseases. And then my doctor looked on the scan, and he looked, and he's like, well, you don't have Brittany Murphy. Okay.
Oh,
and I
God.
was like, oh, that means no pneumonia? And he's like, no, but he said, you have the worst bronchitis ever. And I was like, okay, well, that's fine. That's not the word. So,
yeah, you don't have a bronchitis.
I was told not to get pneumonia. So at least I didn't do that. I followed the rules there. But yeah, it was a bad, whatever was going around LA, everyone was just
I wonder what the name of that phobia is. There's got to be a specific name. I
should have so many other phobias because of my I have heart disease. So my worst fear should be cardiac arrest, right?
Right.
But I think pneumonia is the step to that.
Yeah.
So that then is the cat, that's my worst fear.
2021 has been really scary. Especially
scary.
It's weird. For me, recently, a few weeks ago, I was having some pains in my lower abdomen on my right side. And I was like, man, I don't know what it is, but it's this burning sensation. And it's just uncomfortable.
Oh.
It felt like one of my organs was huge inside of my body. And it felt really weird.
Good.
Yeah. And so I went to the doctor, and I did a blood test. And I did everything, a urine analysis, blood test. I tested for everything. It cost me $800 to do this. And I'm so happy I did it. And they got the blood back, and my triglycerides were super high in the 1800s. And the normal is 150.
Yeah.
Not good. And so he was telling me, he was like, it could be pancreatic cancer. And I was like, oh my God, what? Are you serious? Yeah. And I was fucking terrified. And then he was like, you need to go and get what do you call it? Whenever you're pregnant and they give you the scan.
Oh,
what
the
is it?
ultrasound.
Yeah, he was like, you need to go get an ultrasound. I was like, okay, well, I went and did it like ASAP. And they were like, you have a fatty liver. And I was like, oh shit. Like, really? Yeah. They were like, yeah. And if you don't like do this and this and this, you could get cirrhosis of the liver, or even liver cancer and liver failure. And I was like, oh my God, that's not good. So now it's like, I don't eat gluten anymore. I'm like,
Yep.
I don't, I stay away from sugar,
Yep.
like,
Same.
but it's just
I can't-
weird.
I
like,
can't have anything fun.
yeah, it's like, it really gets surreal when it happens to you. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
you're terrified of pneumonia. Now I'm like terrified of organ failure. But what's weird is a few months ago, my cousin died and he was like 38 and he had organ failure. And so this was like an awakening. I was just like, oh my God, like I just got to do something about it now. But yeah, man, I'm glad it was only bronchitis for you.
Yeah. I'm glad it was only fatty liver.
Yeah, wow, that's still terrible. But
It's still bad, but I mean, at least it wasn't cancer.
Yeah.
I've had a doctor say, "Oh, that might be cancer before too," and I'm like, "Don't say it until like, can you hold that in? Maybe we don't say everything we think. Like,
I know, right?
Like until like you don't want to send a patient home wondering about that until you're like, okay, that's actually what we need to tell them. Like,
right." What would you do if a doctor, I'm a doctor, okay? I'm coming to you. You only have 3 weeks to live. What would you do? What would you do? Honestly, like, where would you go? What would you buy? What would you want to do in those 3 weeks?
I've thought about this a lot. Because I've had several times things like that. Times where it was like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just want to be around the people that I love and do the things that I love. I don't know if I would do anything extravagant, like fly to Paris or have a cigarette or, because I just feel like shit.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would just want to make the most of being around the people that I loved, I think. And I would also freak the fuck out.
Yeah.
So like both like those two things.
Yeah.
Would probably be like the mix.
Oh my God. Yeah. That just sounds comforting, being around people that you love.
Yeah. That's what and like my animals and people and make everyone come to my apartment and hang out with me for 3 weeks. I don't know. I don't know. Who knows? Like, right. Like what, there's not like, I know what I do. Like that would suck.
I don't know. I kind of think I would live my those 3 weeks like every day, like Groundhog Day, but every day would be Christmas Day, and then the next day. So I would live it. I would live all the holidays every day of the week for 3 weeks. So it would be like Easter, Halloween, Thanksgiving. Yeah. Well, we could skip Easter. That's a bullshit holiday. We could do, like,
a lot of Halloween.
A lot of Halloween and Christmas over and over.
And over. That's a good idea.
Yeah, with like family and people that you love. Like, that would be so fun.
I would definitely eat food that I can't eat right now.
Yeah. What can't you eat?
Like everything. I eat like an autoimmune paleo diet for lupus.
Nice.
And so it's just like kind of like you were saying, like no, like it's just basically like I can eat like.
So it's like keto, right?
No, I can't, because I can't have like dairy. I can't have butter. Right. So it's really like it's like what my dog could eat basically. Like it's just like lean meats and vegetables, and like I screw up and eat rice sometimes because I'm starving.
Right.
And I need something that feels like a carbohydrate somewhat. Yeah. Because it drives me crazy. Because I already have like a fast metabolism. So to like eat enough. I lost so much weight last year when they put me on this diet. And just because I was sick. So like between the two, I was like, I did not look great. It looked like someone who was like, I was sick and I have anemia, so I'm like pale. It was just like, it was not a good look. It was like, this girl's not doing well. And then I tried to figure out all these recipes and things of like how to gain weight. I get like a weight gain smoothie every day at this place near me in Silver Lake that they like formulated for me to like technically include everything that I can eat, nothing that I can't eat that has like a lot of fat in it somehow.
That reminds me.
And so I've gained 5 pounds and it's really exciting.
That reminds, did you ever used to watch Malcolm in the Middle?
I was, yes. And I was, yes.
Okay. Well, Hal, he used to give Lois, his wife, these milkshakes. And she's like, why am I gaining so much weight? And it's because he wanted her butt to be big. And so he was like, every morning he was making her a shake. And I think he was putting like bacon grease and maple syrup and ice cream and like all this amazing stuff. Yeah. And that reminds me, Jared Leto actually did that for a role. He was every day he was drinking melted ice cream and olive oil.
Oh God.
Yeah, he would drink that every day. And he gained like a ton of weight.
I couldn't eat those things, so I wouldn't be able to do it. But
yeah, I don't know.
That's the problem. Is just the things that I'm allowed to eat are so good for weight loss.
Right.
And so I'm like, how do I make me gain weight? And it turns out that it's like lot.
It's all carbs.
Yeah, because all my carbs are
gluten.
Gone.
Yeah.
And so
see, I do that too. I'm on a very, very strict, like super low carb. Like I eat dairy still because it doesn't really affect me. Like I don't get like inflammation or whatever. It doesn't bother me. But I think gluten like fucks with me. I don't know. Like, excuse me. I'm drinking this really crappy prebiotic. It's apple cider vinegar, but it's like super tart. And I'm getting a little bit of heartburn.
That would do that.
Yeah, but like I'm staying away from gluten now, and I've noticed like a huge difference. Like
you do notice a difference. It's
annoying,
like because I want it to not make a difference so that I can eat bread.
But
it does make a difference.
Yeah, like I notice now, like if at night, like usually I would have arthritis in like my wrists and my back, and now it's like that's gone. Exactly. And I'm just like, holy shit.
It's really annoying.
Yeah. But you know what? I've been eating gluten-free bread and it's actually really good as long as you like cook it.
It's not bad. Yeah, it's not bad. And I found a lot of my secrets of things that I can eat that I didn't know were allowed after like 2 years of this. I figured out like a pleasurable way to like eat my meals and not just be like, fuck this.
Yeah.
But at first I was just like, so it's chicken and rice for the rest of my life. Okay, cool. I am a dog. Yeah. That's what I would give my dog. Like that's what the vet says to give your dog if they're not doing well.
It's like the future. You know, you wear the same outfit every day.
Yeah.
You have the same meal or prison.
Yeah.
The future or prison.
Yeah. No, I was so bored. And I was like, okay, I've got to figure out other things I can eat. And at first, and then that was really expensive because I didn't know like the secrets and like I wasn't figuring out. Like I was just like, please, anything, like any place or restaurant that sells things that are just like an avocado and like vegetables and like, like. Then they were like questioning fish for a while because they're like there might be like a histamine response, and I'm just like, oh my god. So like, I whenever it's dinner time, I'm like, I like try to think of something brilliant, but it's like usually the same thing. I always have this ambition, like when my partner's like, what do you want for dinner? I'm like, I'm gonna think of it. I'm gonna figure it out, and then I'm like, just two madre with the chicken and the rice and the kale.
I
definitely keep certain businesses in business because of how repetitive the things I eat are, like because there's not much variation you can have in this diet, which is not technically I think that great for you, but like there's only so many places that are like gonna have weird bowls that you can eat like me. So I keep Tu Madre in business in Los Feliz and I keep Nature Well in business. And so we're like, I'm certain that I am the reason that they're, like, if they're thriving, it's because of me.
I try to every day for lunch I eat the same thing, but dinner is like I like to get creative because I love to cook. But
Yeah.
I mean I'm very strict about my lunch, and I always go to this place called Central Market every day for lunch. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's like Whole Foods,
Okay.
but in Texas.
Okay.
We have Whole Foods too, but they make their own like homemade soups, homemade store-made soups, and they're super good and like great ingredients. You know, they don't have like canola oil and all that shit in them. I don't eat that stuff either. You know, it's like avocado oil, olive oil. That's all I eat. Or that's all I can consume. So they have good ingredients, or either that or I'll get like a salad.
Can you do coconut oil?
Yeah, I could do coconut oil. I try not to as much though.
I think it's actually like kind of artery clogging, but I think it's okay for autoimmune.
Oh my God.
It's confusing.
Oh, there's my my COVID. Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
It's allergies, but
we're doing great.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to, man, I remember when coconut oil was like a huge thing. When I lived in Austin, like, you know, like the coconut oil pulling thing where you'd swish it around in your mouth. I did that like every day, and I only worked 3 days a week. All the other time, like my nights, I was either playing shows or I was making music in my living room. During the day, I would go thrifting, and I would only wear short shorts, and I would lather my whole body in coconut oil and ride around in the summertime, listening to the Beach Boys. And I was riding a scooter. And I had a scooter.
That sounds great.
Yeah. So my days were just like me riding around thrifting, covered in coconut oil. And I was so tan.
Listening to the Beach Boys. Wow.
Yes, I was tan.
That's a full fantasy.
I know.
Like
oh my God. You know what? I'll post a picture on the Vcrworld Instagram so you could see. I was so skinny. Like it's crazy. I don't know. I was like probably I think 180, and I'm 6'7". So I was like 180 when I lived in Austin.
I'm 5'0".
Oh wow. Very, very.
I'm like, hey.
Yeah. But now I weigh like 208. But it's like, man, I was like really skinny. But at the same time, like I was eating, like I was juicing every day. Yeah. And I was eating like very, very healthy, I guess. But I wasn't looking healthy. I don't know. That's weird. I don't know why I gained so much weight.
Yeah. I mean, you never know, like with what's going on with your body, and like clearly something, because you got the weird thing with your liver. Like hormones fluctuate, immune system stuff changes, like and it's all like very like mysterious. It's not like you go to the doctor and the first time they're like, oh, it's definitely this. They're like it took me, there's Ginger Rogers, she's the famous one.
Oh yeah. Well, the name matches the coat.
Yeah, she's beautiful. She
very fluffy.
She's a real Persian cat.
Wow.
It's an honor.
I love
she's here right now.
I love that. What is that thing called?
It's a cat tree. I just got them a cat tree because I have enough cats that they deserve a cat tree. At first I was like, I'm never getting a cat tree. I'm not going to be that guy.
Well, you had to.
But you know what? I have to be that guy because I have 4 cats and they need to have fun.
Well, and it matches your personality and you know.
Oh God. Yeah. No, so I went and we just splurged the other day on the best cat tree possible for these cats.
That's awesome.
We were like, they woke us up really early in the morning. There was like every morning at 9 a.m. there was a civil war in this house. And it's the cats, and I don't know who's on whose side. Sometimes it changes. I don't know. Like, depends on like who pissed who off. I don't know. But it's at 9 a.m. every day. And if it's a day you want to sleep in, it's a real bummer because it might end up on the bed. Like, you know, the altercations could come to the bedroom and be right on top of you, and you're laying there, and then there's cats fighting on you. And you're just like, oh my God. And so I was like, I woke up one day and it was like, for some reason, waking up at 9 a.m. that day, I think I was planning to sleep in. I was just like, okay, they're getting a cat tree. I'm going to the local pet store. I'm getting the biggest cat tree they have.
That's awesome.
and putting it in my Subaru, and I'm coming home. And it's honestly, this has been wonderful. They have not woken me up since I got them this cat.
Oh, that's
so.
great. And it's so like geometric and like,
And they're happy. They're so stoked about it.
yeah, it looks like modern art.
Yeah.
Like modern carpet art.
Yeah. Yeah. I wanted to find something really cool, or like something that matched, like something like pink or blue, but
Right.
like all the ones on that, like where those colors looked like they like my cats, like there's a hefty cat and they're strong and they'll fuck shit up. And so I was like, no, I need like a real strong cat tree, even if it's like a terrible like neutral thing, like not like a good neutral, but like a like Band-Aid tan, not like a nice beige, but like it's like a Band-Aid for some reason.
Yeah.
So luckily I avoided that. It's sort of a gray, but it's still a little hospital.
I like it.
But yeah, anyway, cat.
This is the longest conversation I've ever had about a cat tree.
I
saw this. I don't remember where it was, but I think I saw it on YouTube. There was this person that lined the walls like near the ceiling with shelves. So
I've seen stuff like that.
Yeah, so the cats could like run around.
That's cool.
That's awesome. That's when I would want to be a cat. I used to want to be a gerbil just so I could. Here's a fucked up story. I used to love my gerbil. Loved them. And I had like this badass like Plastic Paradise, which is actually a really cool band name. Plastic Paradise. Wow. Wow. Have you heard of Plastic Paradise? They're great.
Yeah.
And like he had like this fucking wonderland, and I treated him so good. I feed him carrots by hand, and one day he bit through my fucking fingernail. Okay, so I didn't do this on purpose. Everybody's gonna fucking hate me after this, but I like pulled my finger away. This is like a scene in a Vince Vaughn movie.
Yeah.
I like pulled my finger away and it flung him across the room, and he hit the wall and he landed on the ground and he wasn't moving. And I was like, oh my God. I'm just like, I'm bleeding all over the place. And then I see him laying on the ground, but then he gets up and he runs off. He was totally fine.
God.
Oh my God. And he was covered in blood. Like he bit through my fingernail.
Oh God.
After that, I would never feed him again. And then he died because of, malnourishment. But no, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No, I think I gave him to like one of my friends or something.
Yeah, you were mad.
But now I can't feed hamsters, gerbils, rabbits. Forget about it. Not going to feed a fucking rabbit. Those teeth.
I know. I've had rabbits. Oh my God.
I'd rather have a little alligator or something.
I've had every pet you could think of in my lifetime.
Yeah, you just don't know what they're thinking, I want an animal that thinks, that's conscious, like a dog or a cat. But cats, they'll eat you if you die. Oh
yeah, I mean cats. I've gotten some good wounds from one of our cats. They say she has feline hyperesthesia.
Yeah.
Which is a nice way of saying schizophrenia. And so
that's nice.
She kind of checks out sometimes, and she doesn't look like she recognizes you, and that's when you're like, oh shit. And you're just like, be nice to her. She's not really like here right now.
This sounds like a good series, like about a cat with schizophrenia.
You could just I don't even like, sometimes I'll like intend to watch a TV show. Like I'll be like, oh, I want to see that episode. And then like an hour later, I'm still just like watching the like zoo that I have. And I'm like, oh, I didn't watch the show and it's late.
What are you watching now? Are there any shows that you're watching?
Well, I just binged Dickinson because they used a couple of my songs on it. And I wanted to be like fully informed of the show. Like I wanted to be like attached to the show when the song came on, so that I was like extra like, this is exciting.
Dickinson.
And then I ended up like loving it. It's like Haley Steinfeld is Emily Dickinson. It's on Apple TV. And so it's about Emily Dickinson, but they use like modern music.
Oh, that's cool. Oh my God.
So
you have music on a show on Apple TV.
Yeah, it's so so excited.
That's
it was
insane.
I was so excited because it was like probably my first like bigger sync.
So what
thing.
happened? Did they, I mean,
I bought a Subaru.
but how did they, how did they find you? How did they call you? Like, what happened? Tell me what happened.
I think they reached out to like to my label.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they knew of me before. I think the show, like the one who made the show, like who wrote, like the showrunner, I think she knew of me based on what she tweeted, but I don't know. I could just be like taking that how I want to, but she seemed very nice. She was very excited about it on Twitter. And then it was exciting because I was already like so into the show, and then like all of a sudden my song came on at like this really amazing moment in the show. It was like the moment. But
you knew that your music was going to be on there before you watched it and heard it.
Yeah,
right?
I did.
Okay.
They let me know it was going to be on it, and then I immediately just like gave up my life and binge watched Dickinson.
Did they pay you a shitload of money?
Season 3. Well, it's like so in music.
Let's be honest.
Like, you know how in music, like your label gives you money, and then like, you have to make it. So like
most people don't. So explain it to everybody, because it's like the music industry now like is so different making money than it used to be.
So basically, like your label will advance you money to like exist and like make music and make videos and like do what you need to do to like be an artist. And then with mine, they said we can either give you like a lump sum up front, or we can pay for things as we go. I chose pay for things as we go because I didn't want to be an idiot about it and then be like, I think I have enough, and then
right, and then you owe them that money. It's not free cash.
So I went with the like pay as you go. Okay, we're doing this music video now, it's going to cost us much. Okay, I'm starting to eat beans, can you help me? Like there's like it's a thing as we go, and that seemed to be like the best thing. But just I feel like unless I had like an accountant or someone who was like, this is what you should do.
Right. That's kind of what Jewel did. Well, they like offered her like $1 million or something whenever she was first starting, and she like turned it down because she knew like that wasn't just like free money.
Yeah.
They're gonna give it to you, but exactly. Yeah. And so which a lot of artists get like in a really big pickle.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know why.
I know.
It sounded so old saying that. They get in a real big pickle.
They get in a really big pickle.
I'm in a real big pickle, sweetheart.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you do. And then you're like, oh, I am not ever going to see money again because I just like went nuts. But so we do it as we go. And then my label is super cool. They want us to like exist and live and not die. So what they do normally is normally like I think a major or like any label would just recoup anything that you make once they've given you. Well, with mine, because they know that like you're still doing your best, they will take half of it to the recoup and then half to you as if you get things like a sync or whatever. I think of like the publishing side, so that there's still something like where you're like, oh, I got a sync and I got a little money and I can exist a little bit, rather than like, great, good job, recoup, and then you're like, oh.
So whenever they pay you, do they pay you like in royalties, or how does that work? Or do they just give you like a certain amount, or do they do they like haggle with you like, hey, I'll give you this?
No, they're really like the most ethical, cool label. I don't even believe.
No, I mean Apple. For the show.
Oh,
for the
Apple.
show.
Apple gave like a good offer, so I don't think we haggled.
Okay.
I think we were.
I'm sure they did. Their fucking chargers are $40.
Right.
I still buy them.
It's a good. I think Apple's doing well right now because I also know like people like on the acting side and like production side, like when I know someone who's trying to make a TV show and they're like talking to NBC, but they're like, no, we want Apple.
Right.
So it seems like everyone wants to, I think that's where like financially Apple's like going to give you the most of like,
Yeah. Well, it's a $1
everybody
trillion
right now.
company. So
Exactly. So
obviously. Yeah.
So an Apple sync is a good sync.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, that's so incredible. So do you make money with your music on Spotify?
Yeah, I mean they're like it's so much less than like a few like sold albums or like
Right.
That
sucks. I
Spotify like it takes you gotta get a good amount of plays before you're like, okay.
Right. And you have like hundreds of thousands of listeners.
Yeah. So that's so weird. But yeah,
That's pretty awesome though, right?
Yeah, it's weird. It's so weird. I mean, I was like, I've been doing all of this since I was 6. I was on a Broadway production at 6 because I was a crazy 6-year-old that like was like, I had it, like that I was gonna do that, and I did. And it's a little weirdo going to the newspaper stand, buying Backstage West magazines until I saw a part that fit me.
Right.
And then
what year were you born?
88.
88?
I don't know if we're lying about my age, but we're not. So I'm 33.
98.
98. Yeah. I know everyone's always like, she's the Marilyn Monroe Gen Z. And I'm like,
You're like, actually, I'm Generation X.
Yeah, I mean, eventually, if someone makes a Wikipedia, I would be screwed. So I'll just be honest. It's 88.
So you're 33.
I'm 33.
Yeah, I'm 34. I was born in 87.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're all being honest here. So
well, now we can, this is a good segue into like, like your childhood memories and stuff, and like, that whole round, because I'm a very nostalgic person. Obviously,
yes,
you've seen my page, so
yeah.
I mean, like, I would love to just hear about your childhood and like music and what really like inspired you to go in that direction.
So I don't know. So I was watching I guess I watched a lot of like musicals when I was like a kid, like little.
Yeah.
I watched a lot of I think I watched The Wizard of Oz a lot of times, and I watched a lot of Ginger Roger movies, and I loved Marilyn Monroe so much. And I watched a biopic on Judy Garland, and my parents were like not doing great financially at the time, and I always was like worried about it. And on this biopic, Judy Garland, she got like a Broadway show or like some big show. She invited agents, and then she got like a contract, and then she bought her parents like a nice house in LA. They were like in Lancaster. And I was like, oh. And so like my brain at 5 or 6, whenever I saw that, was like, okay, got the blueprint, got it. So I knew a girl who did acting, and she always had these Backstage West magazines. It's like the 90s, early 90s. And so I'd go to the newsstand, unbeknownst to my family, every time they came out, and I would just like look through the audition section. And, it was rare to be like a 6-year-old with blonde hair, like, everything. It was, 6-year-old parts. It's often through like acting agents, people who are like already like established as like a child actor, but like
right.
Broadway auditions rarely are like 6-year-olds. And so unless it's like Annie, but yeah, it was like some Broadway medley show at the Pantages Theater that was coming from New York, and they were going to come do a run of it in LA, and they were re-auditioning the children. And they do that sometimes. That was like how I got left on anything with Broadway in LA, is if like I was young enough that like they re-auditioned like the part, because they didn't want like to travel kids out or something, or tour with kids. And so they were recasting Shirley Temple. And I had tap danced for 3 years at this point, which was half my life. And so I was like, I am qualified. I had curly hair and chubby cheeks, and I like felt like I looked enough like Shirley Temple, and the tap dancing. I was like, this is it. This is a shoo-in.
Yeah.
And so I went to my parents, and I was like, okay, if I
do the Shirley Temple audition. They were like, what? If a what audition? And I was like, I want to do an audition for Shirley Temple on Broadway. And my parents were like, that's so cute. And I was like, no, it's here. It's in this catalog, and you show up here, and this is when you go. And they were like, oh dear. And so I was like, if I do that and I invite agents and they come and one picks me, can I do acting? And my mom and dad were like, and they're like, yeah, sure. If you get agents to come and you get an agent, like, and I still haven't gotten the part yet. So they're like, this is a fine bargain because we're going to be fine.
Yeah.
So I went and there were like 500 girls. I got Shirley Temple though.
Out
of the 500 girls, which my parents were not prepared for because they were like, this is great. There's 500 kids here. She's the odds are in our favor of having to drive her to auditions every single day.
Yeah.
And I got it. And then my parents were like, oh. And but they weren't eager to help me with the agent part because like this is, it's a lot of work to be like a kid actor's parent. And I didn't realize I was asking a lot, but I was. And so
you're essentially giving your parents another job.
I was like, thank you for working full time for me.
Yeah.
And so I wrote a letter I found like there was a book. They don't have a book anymore. Now it's all, they won't accept unsolicited things usually at agents. But in the 90s, there was a book of agents, and I forget, it was like a specific color. It was like the yellow or blue book or whatever of agents. And I asked my friend's mom, the girl who did acting, like, which are the best 3 agents? And so she told me. I was like, okay. So I wrote them like a letter in crayon and drew I think I drew like an illustration of like a rainbow and like me and like a stage under me. Like, I don't know. I was manifesting and like trying to give them an idea of me famous or something. I don't know what my 6-year-old brain was doing, but I was like, see, it would look good if I was on stage. Like, well, I don't know what I was scheming something.
Do like a cat tree on there. See?
Yeah. And then I made my parents take a Polaroid of me because I didn't understand the concept of like professional headshots.
Right.
And so I sent out these crayon letters with a Polaroid, and 2 of the 3 agents showed up, but it was Broadway, so that's not the unbelievable part was that they responded to anything in crayon. The believable part was they would want to see a kid on Broadway. So I'm sure someone in the office was like, this is weird, but Broadway. So like,
yeah.
So 2 of the 3 that I wrote came. And
was this in New York?
This is in LA at the Pantages.
It was in LA. Okay.
And 2 of the 3 came, and I picked the one I wanted based on the tie that I liked that they were wearing. They had a really cool tie with like cats on it, obviously. And I don't know if that was like a cool thing to wear around kids. Like if it was like, I'm cool with kids, I like cat cartoons on my tie, or like, I don't know. But I was like, that's a cool tie. So I like dragged him over to my parents, and I was like, I have an 8. And he didn't even offer me like representation.
Yeah.
He was just like, good job. And I thought, oh, great. Okay. So I like took him over to my parents, and I was like, I have an agent. And my parents were like, oh. And they're like, hi. And they like introduced themselves. And he's like, I guess I have a client. And like, looking back now, I realized that like he never offered me. Yeah, like he never offered me representation. I just pulled him by his tie, and he just.
All little girls love kittens. I'm gonna wear this tie today. That's what he was thinking. He's like, there's no way she'll turn me down.
It was like the biggest agent. So it was very unrealistic. This whole story.
Well, of course he knew. They were like, you got to wear the cat tie. But it's a little girl.
Yeah. And so they're like, at least we don't think the kid's going to be an underachiever. This is like a lot of effort.
So you got Shirley Temple.
I got Shirley Temple.
And that kind of like built up your ego. I don't want to call it an ego. That sounds terrible.
I don't think I ever got an ego. My dad was very sure of that.
Not an ego. I mean, it brought up your
I have full. I still like. I'm more veering on like imposter syndrome than ego. I'm like when I saw a
Can't think
billboard,
of
I
the
was like,
word.
I don't know. I was like, that is that. Can you see that? Like I couldn't figure that one out. And I was asking. I'm working on an album right now.
Mhm.
Album 2, and a few of the songs I'm doing with Shauna No Lennon, and it was like crazy to be talking to a Beatles son,
Right.
and then I asked him, I was like, it's so weird because someone reached out to me from blah blah blah, and I don't know how they know me, and he's like, Sean was like, you have like a billboard, a big billboard in LA, and I was like, yeah, well, so you think those work? And he's like, yeah, so all of LA has seen your face. And I was like, that's weird.
Yeah.
Like it's not like it doesn't like because it's not a person. It's like we were talking about shows where you actually see people singing your songs.
Right.
It doesn't feel, yeah. So like no matter how long I've been trying to do this, it still always feels like I'm trying.
Right.
As opposed to like, oh yeah, like I'm famous, I've got this. Like I'm always like, I always think I have to like come up with some brilliant idea next that's gonna be like, I don't know. Because I always got like I got bit parts, I got like guest star spots, I got lots of commercials, but I never was like, I wasn't like Matilda. I wasn't.
Right.
I was almost Hermione in Harry Potter. I was almost Miley, or I was almost Hannah Montana. I was, but I didn't. It was a lot of close calls, but nothing to give me ego, just enough to stress me out as a teenager. I was just like, I've worked a lot. I'm tired.
When did you start
like,
making music?
As a teenager, I think I started to like want to be. I was more aware of like the idea of like conceptualize. I like my sophomore year, I was homeschooled and I got to choose some subjects. And one subject I wanted to study was like iconography.
Mm-hmm.
And like the making of an icon and like what does that and like what takes like some random beautiful person to being like something that we remember forever. Why is Marilyn and the Beatles painted on the side of this building versus like another band and some other actress that was cool? Like, like what are the things that make the like, and it was kind of like this mathematical equation in my head of like what, I really wanted to understand that. It was fascinating to me. I was a weird kid. But yeah, so I studied that my sophomore year. That's like a class my dad let me take that we invented. And then I became very interested in the concept and making the like idea of like what I wanted my art to look like.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I didn't know what to do because like a lot of the parts I was being sent out from my agents were like very not that. And I was, by 17, I was this artiste. And I I was just like, I can't do this part. There's no need in it. And I looked 13 and they were like, you're an annoying client. Please go on the audition. And I was like, I was like, no, I was like, I'm just going to do music. And then once I do music, then I can like handpick parts that I think are cool and weird that I like. Like then me and David Lynch will be like best friends or something. That was like my 17-year-old plan.
Yeah.
At that point. And so I just did music after that. I got a publishing deal and I just went full music. And I just reacquainted with acting this last year. And it was a part that I would have totally handpicked. So maybe my master plan worked, but yeah, that was like my 17-year-old.
When did you start making the internet, that album?
From the hospital. I wrote a lot of that in the hospital from the cardiac ICU. So a lot of it sounds like it's like about like a person, but it's like me
talking to me or my disease or a person. There's several. Sometimes I would personify like illness or like sometimes I just talk directly about it. I didn't want it to feel like an album about heart disease. I wanted it to feel like a regular
So
album.
do you write out the lyrics before you even write the music?
Yeah, I have like a giant book of just like poetry.
Oh,
And
wow.
then I will sometimes just like have a random thought like of like that line's the chorus and then that,
Yeah.
and then I'll want to like, I'm the kind of person like when Taylor Swift released that 10-minute version of her song, I was just like saying, so I have to like edit a lot of verse out because
Yeah.
I want to tell the story, the like full story.
See, I'm totally different. Like whenever I write a song, I'll make the music first. Like I'll start out with like a bass element and then I'll add in the percussion and then I'll do like the synth on top of that. And then I'm like, okay, now it's time to sing. And I'll just like whatever comes to my mind, I'll write down and then I'll try to make sense of it. And then I'll like make a story based off of what I'm
Okay.
just singing out of nowhere. But that's so interesting to think, there's so many people that do it so different, like to write it and then it's just, I don't know, that sounds like a lot harder than just like, you know what I mean? Than just
I
like
don't
starting
know.
to play and then coming up with something.
I think I don't know if I think about hard versus like not because I think I just like I'm constantly like I basically like every night I take a bath and I like write a bunch of ideas down because I just have to like get that out before I go to bed or else I'll be laying in bed like oh wait, but do I love that? Or oh shoot, I do. Okay. And then like I'll be up all night. So like I try to just like give myself a time and be like, okay, you can go crazy for like an hour. And then and then your brain needs to just like be a person. And so I'll be in the bath and I'll just be like manically writing everything down that I've been thinking all day. And then some days I'll be like, that's a song. And some days I'll just be like, interesting diary entry. But yeah, so I don't know. I just like, I love poetry and I love writing and I love storytelling. And so I think like in my little kid fantasy, it was like, oh, I can't be an MGM contract player who tap dances and gets like to work with Busby Berkeley with like a bunch of other like showgirls and like this giant set and like me coming out of an oyster. That's not happening yet. Okay, cool. So therefore I have to like invent my own world in which that feels equally as inspiring as what I thought that was, because it was a response to the depression. That's what entertainment was doing, was like giving you an escape. And I think what I see a lot of now, which I don't, but I'm seeing a lot of people, I think starting to think like I did. I think now that they're becoming old enough to be in charge of stuff. And I think it's a common thing where we're like going through this time where like there's a plague, we can't afford houses, do we get children? It's like it's kind of like a bummer of like a season in the life of human beings. Like we have to like not get the scary illness, and like a lot of our generation is like, I don't have money to do the normal stuff, and like and then like no man wants to get married until they're like 50. So I can't have a baby unless I freeze eggs, which is super expensive. So you have to be rich for that. Like there's all these things. So it's not just like a simple, it's kind of like,
I
you're
can't
kind of
relate
like,
to that.
fuck.
I don't know. I knew like I wanted to be a dad like early on. Like I was like,
cool.
I want to be a dad. I want to be a husband. Like that was like my goal in life.
That is beautiful.
But
I respect that, but there's
maybe it's just LA
a lot
guys.
of guys. It's definitely part of it. No, it's or all of it. But yeah, so like it's just like it's a weird time, and so like the response I think is like a lot of people are making like a lot of like they want to like hit people with reality. Like you want to like
I
And
think
it's
maybe
like, I've got enough of it though. Like I want to get out of, like, I want art to like take me somewhere.
right.
Because I'm here and I can't go see this person because they have COVID. They just found out, and I can't, like, and we're like not sure if we can see the family because everyone's got to get tested the night before. You know, it's a weird time. It's kind of feels like a darker time in humanity, kind of like the era of the Depression. And so
Right.
some people's response in art and like the studio system and like whatever is just to be like, yeah, like people want reality, and they just give you this depressing like Armageddon piece, and you're just like, oh, now I
It's
feel
definitely like music is you're just sharing
yeah, well,
your
but
place
I
in
don't
life,
just
you know,
want to
like
do music. Like I
right.
have my music, but I want that to turn into like a whole thing. Like I want to be able to make, like, if I had my way, I'd want to make like a whole album that had to do with like a whole film that had to do with like a whole world that like
Yeah.
would feel like something like when
The
I grew up
Gloomeverse.
that was exciting to me. That made me feel like, you know, you'd watch some of those old films, like these Busby Berkeley films and
Hmm.
the RKO picture films and the MGM films, and it would or just simply like the Wizard of Oz. Everyone's seen that, and after that was a kids movie too. Kids movies aren't like that anymore. Um, you leave it and you feel like maybe a glimmer of like something you didn't know before, like a kind of hope because you'd never thought of it that way and you'd never seen life like that. And so it like puts your brain in a different mindset, kind of like a when you reset, like hard reset your phone. Some of those movies would like do that, and you'd leave, and it
Yeah.
was like kind of your brain was doing magical things. And then when you walk down the sidewalk, you kind of had a skip in your step because they did that in the movie. And then like the pole is the light pole is cool because Gene Kelly was swinging around that and singing, and it was raining, and like everything kind of has like a magical feeling. Whereas I feel like I feel like a lot of things now are getting more like that again. But for a minute there, it felt like everything was just like depressing and like
Hmm.
it felt like everything on TV or film was just exactly like what I saw in my everyday life, and I was like, I don't want more.
Right.
I
Yeah.
want like
I know what you're talking about. And you know,
um,
the special thing about art and entertainment, and whether it's film, music, is it can be full of imagination,
yeah,
and it could be something that, you know, like something from a childhood dream that you've always wanted, and you could just
yeah,
have it there right in front of you. But a lot of people don't take advantage of that, and they write stories that are comfortable. You know, like they take like a comfortable route, and they're like, hey,
right,
let's just make a movie about a couple getting a divorce. It's like,
yeah,
okay,
exactly.
yeah, all right, it's gonna win a ton of awards. We're gonna put it on Netflix. It's gonna
Because
be
it's
fucking great.
because the acting is you know has to be incredible because they're
Yeah,
going through
and
it,
that's
right?
important, you know, because that's an art form in itself, acting,
It
and it's
is.
super hard.
It is.
I love it. I love acting, and it's just I think that, you know, the route that we're going now, like you don't see a lot of good stuff anymore because people are kind of on the fence about what they can and can't do anymore in film. You know what I mean?
Oh
Like
yeah, I mean
everybody's
the conversation I was always like, will the audience buy it? Will they get it? Will they? And it's just
will
like
they
I
be
think
offended by it?
will they be offended by it? Will they understand it? I think the thing I
Right.
always run into most is, will they understand that? Do you need to dumb it down a little bit? And I was
Right.
like, you know, I think I don't remember what great person said this, but you never want to underestimate your audience like that. Like
Yeah.
that's the biggest mistake you could make
Mm-hmm.
is thinking, oh, my audience is dumb, so I better dumb down my art for them. Bad
Right.
choice.
Yeah, you know, this is kind of a poor example, but I watch It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia,
Yeah.
and they do and say whatever the fuck they want in that show.
Yeah.
And I love it. It's been going on for 15 seasons. The new season's out now. And even with everything that's going on, they're still doing it because it's comedy, you know, like,
Yeah.
and that's the way the show has been. They're portraying characters that are all people that you would never want to be. And you know
Right.
what I mean? And they
Yeah.
know that. They know that they're doing that. They know that they're not those people on the show, which is
Right.
why it's a show. It's not real fucking life.
Yeah.
And you don't see a lot of that. And I appreciate that. They're sticking to their art form and they're not changing with society and what society says can and cannot happen. Like there are people out there that want to, like the cancel culture, they want to cancel like let's say like old Disney movies, which,
right.
I appreciate the fact that they don't take them down. What they do is they have a disclaimer at the beginning saying, we do not agree with things that are said or done in this motion picture. Works. That's good. But to be like, oh, well, we need to erase that from history. That's not progressive. That's not how you become progressive. Yeah. The way you become progressive is you learn from it, you realize the problem, and you move forward and continue knowing and educating yourself. But you can't, you can't hush comedians, because then we won't have comedians. You can't be like, you can't say that. Yep. You can't say that on stage. Well, no, you can, because it's a show. It's fake. That's like if I wrote an album about a serial killer who was obsessed with this girl and killed her entire family. And I had friends who were like, you can't say that. And I'm like, yeah, I can. It's just like, it's fake. It's fake. It's not real, so what?
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
But there are limits, but
I guess. I mean, there's limits in terms of now of what we know and what is appropriate and not, but I think I know cancel culture is a hard one. It's
tough. And we're entering a time now where, what we were talking earlier about the metaverse, where everybody is connected. And that's like the same in imagine being in high school right now and with TikTok and everything, imagine whenever I was in high school, I hung out with everybody, I would hang out with football players. I'd hang out with the nerds because I was a nerd. I hung out with everybody. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
But if I was growing up in that time where there was TikTok and Facebook, I would imagine that first of all, you would know everybody. No matter who it is in the school, everybody would know who everybody is, and your social status would be based on how many views you have, how many followers you have, how many likes you have. So it's basically this tangible thing that you can see, the popularity is actually I don't know, a physical object that you could see. So imagine everybody walking around the school with a number over their head.
That's crazy.
That's crazy to think about, right? And then imagine what that does to their psyche, being oh my God, who the fuck am I? I don't get any likes.
That's interesting because there's the other side of that, because I went to 1 year of high school. My senior year was a great mistake because I had not been to school yet, and I chose the last year of high school to try out normal. The normal is relative, and you don't need to force yourself. So I had a very weird senior year of being the new kid and the girl who was in acting and everyone already had developed all their friendships from lifelong, going to the same elementary school, the same junior high school, the same high school. Right. And I was just kind of this I just showed up senior year I'm going to try school. I want to feel like they have a locker and
Did you get a lot of attention because you were the new girl?
Yeah, and it wasn't great. A lot from the boys were interested in talking to me, which then immediately ruined everything with the girls liking me.
Oh yeah, of course.
Because they had all of a sudden some new.
Yeah.
But that didn't last. The guys were interested for 10 minutes, but the girls hated me all year. And so it didn't help. And I didn't also want particularly attention from boys. I was a career person at this point and not interested in a relationship. And so it did me no favors when I was 17 and 18.
Yeah.
So it was weird. And then I did choir and cheerleading because I had already graduated out of a few subjects in homeschooling. So I had a lot of electives, and I chose a lot of conflictual electives of the people and who got along with who. so I didn't know the rules, and like the social hierarchy. But if I had gone, if it was like it was now, I would be fine.
Right.
Because I was shy in person at that age. Other than an audition, I was a total ham. Like if I had sides and like a director, I was like the like most outgoing person in the world. If I had to talk to like a peer my own age and try to say something cool, I was silent. I was like, um, and so I didn't know how, I didn't know what to do, but like I knew how to make art and interesting things. So I would have actually probably had like friends and been cool had the internet exists, because I know how to make content. I know how to make like interesting like little performances on TikTok. I don't know how to make small talk.
Mm-hmm.
Like
well, you're doing it
like,
right now.
Well, I'm doing it right now with you, but like the kind that you're supposed to make when you're like 17,
right,
with another 17-year-old, did not relate.
Yeah.
Because it was like, oh yeah, like we went to this party and then like it was like this guy showed up and we were all like, what? And I was like, oh, that's so sad. I feel bad for that guy. Like they're all like, I didn't, rather than being like, yeah, what? Like, you know, I didn't get
I
didn't get how to be a bitch at 17.
I totally understand.
That was required.
I would do things like to try to fit in with like certain crowds. Like I remember, this is so stupid. I remember everybody in high school in the morning, whenever people would get there, they would hang out in the courtyard right by the cafeteria. It's like outside. And I come up, I'm wearing my backpack and both of my eyes are red because I have pink eye in both of my eyes. And these guys, these really cool guys in the school, they were like, dude, how high are you right now? And I was like, I am so fucking high right now. And they were like, yeah, you are, man. They were like, you're so stoned today. I was like, yeah. I walked away. I was like, oh my God, they talked to me. That was awesome. You know, like, so people do stuff to fit in and it doesn't matter. Like, you can't think about what other people think about you. You just have to know that you are cool, you know, like as long as you're cool to you.
I figured that out in my 20s. Like I was like, no, I like me.
Yeah.
I like me. I'm cool to me. Exactly. But like in high school, I knew how to perform. I could have done TikTok, but I did not know how to like gossip and be bitchy and
right.
The other things you needed. So I would have loved if people were just like, oh yeah, that weird girl from TikTok, but she's cool because she has followers. Like that I could have figured out.
Yeah.
I can figure out business, but I can't
how many followers do you have on TikTok?
I only have like 20,000, but
oh really?
I've had a couple videos go like viral.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so I would at least, you know, be like an upstanding citizen at the high school.
Yeah.
If TikTok existed. Whereas the time I had nothing going for me except that I was quiet and from LA and kind of liberal and like everyone at that school is really conservative, and I liked gay people, and I was like maybe gay, and like people didn't know if like that was okay, and like I was just like, whoa, like this sucks.
Yeah. So like, you made what is it? Was it 2 Christmas songs? I know that I've listened to both of them. Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, and what was the other one that you made?
Santa Baby.
Those are so good.
Oh, thank you.
Everything you make is just like chef's kiss. Thank you. It's so weird, like to think that none of your songs suck. I'm serious. No, as an artist, it's kind of irritating. I'm serious. I'm irritated. It's so weird. Like if you think about like a lot of people's favorite bands, you know, you'll go back and listen to like albums that they have. And most of the time, like back in the day, you only had to have like one hit and you would get signed.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, we need to make an album now.
Track 3. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you go back and listen, and I've actually made that like a thing that I do now, is like if I say that I really like a band, like I could be like, I like Smashing Pumpkins. Well, do I really, or do I like some of their songs? So I'll go back and listen to songs that I've never even heard before, and I'm like, how do I say that this is my one of my favorite bands if I haven't even heard all of their songs?
Yeah.
But it's weird, like all of the songs on the internet, I'm just like so in love with, and they're so powerful. I wanted to talk to you about Body.
Okay.
What is that song about?
Okay. So long story short, I was walking downtown. I was with my boyfriend at the time. We were having a bit of a fight. And then I think I had walked a little too much for like what my heart wanted. I was new to the whole Prince metal thing. So I didn't know my limitations. And I had walked a little too far downtown, plus the fight. It was like a whole mix of things. And my heart started feeling weird. And then right outside of Grand Central Market, which is like the most busy, like downtown, it's like the most people you can find in one spot. It's just packed. I started having a spasm, like a coronary artery spasm. So it feels like a heart attack.
Yeah.
And so I started fainting and going away, and I could feel my heart rate speeding up. And then it feels kind of like a burning, squeezing feeling in your heart that's like releases this feeling of just kind of like, oh, fuck. And then like you just kind of become like, you go from oh, fuck to like, I don't know, because you don't have blood going to the brain. And so I like my boyfriend like laid me down on like a bench out there, and all these people were staring. And I think we had gone outside to take like a picture for Instagram. So I was in like a kind of ridiculous outfit, and I was having a medical emergency, and I was just like, I am a spectacle and I do not want to be right now. I love wearing the weirdest shit, but then if I'm having a spasm, I really wished I had just worn jeans and a t-shirt. Because it's already, people are already staring because you're like laying down in somewhere you should not be. Now people are like, should we call an ambulance? And you're like, hold on. Yeah. I don't know yet. And so I was in like a very odd outfit, kind of slutty. And I'm laying down on the ground and my heart's not getting enough blood to it. And we're trying to see if the nitroglycerin will make it go away or if we call an ambulance. And, when I finally started coming out of it, and I was so grateful. Like it's just nothing makes you grateful like those ending. But I couldn't. My partner was trying to get me to talk and trying to get me to, and you're very weak afterwards. Your heart is still trying to catch up to like going back to normal. And things like talking and things that you take for granted that you wouldn't normally, like taking a deep breath or like talking, saying a sentence, are very taxing.
Right.
And so my partner was asking me all these questions, and I could not answer them all and comprehend them all. And I was just like, hold on, like I'm barely alive right now, just PRB. And I got back inside, and I was like frustrated because I tried to explain it so many times when I'm having a spasm. Like it's like someone, who's having like maybe a heart attack, but we don't know yet each time. And I wanted to explain to him, like, you've got to give me a minute to get my heart back to normal before you get me standing, before you try to engage in the argument we were having, before you, talk to me, because I'm just kind of staring at the sky, and I can feel that I have like fingers, and I'm noticing those things, and I'm really relieved to notice those things because that means I'm still alive and I made it. And then like there's someone loud talking at you, and like can't they like perceive that you're not doing well? That made me frustrated. Like if I saw someone was very weak, I wouldn't be like at them. I would just be like, okay, I'm just gonna sit here, because clearly they can't do anything. And so Body was a response. That was kind of like what I was feeling when I got home, was just like, can't you hear my body talk? Like
I'm
Such
having
powerful words. I love that song so much. I mean, I love all of your music. Your every
Thank
single
you.
song. Yeah, like, and they, man,
I felt
tell you
like
what,
the body language should have been loud enough for the
well,
other person
they
to
bump
hear.
so loud. I don't know the last time I said that that song bumps, but all your songs like bump hard, and like you could just. Now, I don't know if you remember, but I posted on my Instagram story a video of me driving, like listening to your music, and
Oh yeah.
oh my God, like when you have it on in a car, it's just like boom, boom, so good. But like, what are your inspirations? Like, whenever you first started making music, who did you have certain artists that you were inspiring to kind of imitate or maybe sound like?
So like production wise, it's so different than how I sing. Like how I sing is I probably still sing like the way that I like thought was normal when I
Right.
was a kid. So, but like I like that. I just left that alone
Right.
because I thought it was a weird contrast to the production because you don't really have like electronic music with like that usually.
Do you make the music also?
I do. I mean, like I produced Nervous Breakdown all by myself, and then like
Oh,
some of
nice.
them I got started, and then to me, like my priority is the story, and then
Right.
the music video and the visual. So
Of
sometimes
course.
I'll get really into it, and like Nervous Breakdown, I just went from start to finish, and I was like, no, I want to make this whole song myself. But sometimes I want something that maybe someone else can do better in this kind of way. Like
Right.
I want this kind of bass, and I could figure that out in like in like a half hour, but Johnny could do that in like 2 seconds.
Nice.
And I
Yeah.
want it to be the best. It's like it's a baby and it's a child in a way, and I want it to have the best life.
Yeah.
And so if I'm gonna be the best for it of like making all the sounds, then I will do that. But if I'm like, actually, I really wish it had this or that, and I know my friend here, he's like the person who does that.
So whenever
then it's
Johnny
gonna
does
go to
it,
them.
is that his name, Johnny, or were you just like giving an example?
Yeah, John,
Okay.
I work with a lot of people. My next album is like a huge collaborative album.
Oh, cool.
When you said it, like, who are your influences? Like everyone on my next album, I just reached out to all my influences, and
Oh,
the
nice.
majority got back and said yes.
No
And
way.
so
Can you say who?
I think so. I can at least say these. I know I'm gonna have Shauna Nolennon on it. Kevin Barnes of Montreal did a track that I'm so excited about, and then I know I'm setting up a session soon with Starfucker, the band Josh from Starfucker.
Oh,
And,
nice.
I listen to a lot of Montreal and Starfucker, and like trying to think like things like that. But I was like a wild of Montreal fan growing up. I thought that Kevin was a genius, and like it was so weird and like but yet so catchy, and like I loved how the like the balance of like it would just be so absurd, yet it was just a fucking good pop song.
Yeah.
And I loved how he did that because it gave my brain something interesting to do, but I also like couldn't get it out of my head.
Yeah.
I liked that. So I reached out to him, and like he like responded to my email, and so we
that's
made
awesome.
a song. And so yeah, so my whole album, I really wanted to work with people that influenced me, and then kind of like, but like then make it, you know, my own song, but like what could we, you know, so it's gonna be, I'm very excited about it, and we're still promoting the internet, but
Nice.
I'm
Yeah.
very excited about album 2.
Outstanding album. The internet is great. Is it on do you sell any vinyl or cassette tapes or anything
coming,
like that?
It's coming. The vinyl, as you know, is like the indie artists were all like, we'll have it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, you gotta get those in
I know
Target.
it was pressed. It went to the test pressing like a few in like the fall. So
Yeah.
I know it's going to exist.
Whenever you do have the vinyl, I'm sure there is like issues with like materials and stuff. I think I had a different artist on. His name is Benoit Poulard. He was telling me that there's like a lot of issues with getting vinyl right now, just because there's so much demand and the
Wild.
materials are so limited.
It's wild. It's hard.
Are you do you think you're going to be in brick and mortar places like Target or, you know, like stores?
Yeah, I have my CDs in certain stores.
Mhm.
Not that we all have a CD player, but
Well, everybody
the
should.
vinyl definitely will probably have more we'll put more a little bit more effort into it.
Yeah.
So yeah, likely.
So whenever so back to earlier, whenever you hand over a song to Johnny, do you maybe like give him like an audio file and you give like a rough cut of how you want it to sound? Or do you just give him like vocals that you're singing? Or how do you go about like portraying like this is what I want the song to sound like?
I unfortunately don't have a single answer of what I do. It's all over the place. But like when I work, it depends on who I'm working with, because I work with one of my people that I like write with is Huntington, and then I work with Johnny Jewel. And Johnny Jewel generally like on the last album, he was like the songs all went to him at the end, and he did the final mixes and made it just like
tight. Just tightened it up.
Perfect.
Nice.
Yeah, just like you knew you were going, like, you knew you loved how it sounded, but you knew when you got it back from Johnny, it was going to be like for some reason so much better.
Yeah.
And so I don't have like with Johnny, like I've never like do this, because I'm just like, he'll just do a good job. Like he's just one of those people that I'm like, and for some people I'm like, oh, but let's make sure it sounds like this. Like I am particular, but he's as particular as me, maybe more, I think more.
Yeah.
And so it's like the only person that I've ever met and worked with where I like don't feel like a control freak, and I'm just like,
yeah. Was this
be.
album made before you were signed, or are you signed because of this album?
The album got me signed. So I like literally just submit demo on their website.
And did they tell you like you need to make another album? Like,
no,
like whenever they signed you? No?
Weirdly, yeah, I was shocked, and they said we want to put this album out, and I was like, that's it. What?
Who else do they represent? Anybody? I don't know the name of your
so I'm signed to Italians Do It Better. They have like they started with like Glass Candy and the Chromatics, and they have artists like June and Desire, and they did like a lot of like the Drive soundtrack, and
nice.
They
fit into the catalog
a
very
bit
nicely.
On they did like the Chromatics were on Twin Peaks, The Return.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, it was definitely like my home.
Yeah. So where do you think your music is headed in terms of I mean, I can see it like going to the top. I see you going to the stars. I see you like
I mean, you
heard
you know my inner 6-year-old Shirley Temple, so that's obviously the goal.
Yeah. It would be really cool if you were to do like, I mean, you say you want to be more like theatrical and have like a Glüme verse, you know, where you could do films and stuff. It'd be cool if you did
cool.
Like plays, like Broadway plays with your music, like a musical.
Yeah.
Okay.
But let's be careful.
I want a percentage because this is my idea. No, I'm just kidding.
Let's be careful with the word musical.
Yeah. Be careful with that. Why?
Because immediately it changes the genre immediately. And then you picture like modern musical songs. Yeah. It wouldn't be like that. It would be still my music, but on stage with dialogue. So I don't want anyone thinking that I'm suddenly going to have like musical sounding songs.
Well, you know, there's
anything wrong with that. It's just not my.
What you could do, what would be really fucking cool is you don't even have to say it's like a play or a musical. It could just be your shows. Like the shows that you play could be like a play, and you could have like a stage.
This is a great idea.
You could have a stage set up, like let's say it's like a living room or something. No, yeah, you could have like a living room set up, and like, you know, just like for each performance that you do, just have like this, you know, like they did in old sitcoms and stuff. They would have like stages set up. You could just do that for live shows, and that would be fucking incredible.
Love that.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. You know, like oh my God, this is so perfect. I have so many ideas right now. So instead of like just coming on stage, you could like knock at the door or something.
Oh
and
my
then
God.
and then it's like a Christmas party or like a party, and they like invite you in, and then the music starts and you just start singing, and you know what I mean? Like it could just be like this whole fucking thing.
I'm into that.
Yeah.
I'm into that.
All right. I'm gonna be your manager. No more of this bullshit. We're getting started.
Perfect. That's an excellent idea.
I know. I would. Oh my God. Everybody would love it. They'd be like, dude, did you see Glüme in concert? It was the best.
And I would feel honestly the most comfortable having dialogue anyway.
Yeah.
So that would be great.
God.
Stage banter is fun, but dialogue is way more fun. Oh my God.
This is fun talk. I like this. So what are you doing for Christmas?
Now that I don't have COVID, I'm going to my parents' house, and it's just me, my fiance, and my two parents, and we'll be doing all forms of testing before we meet up, just for the people who are concerned about the gathering idea. It's just the four of us, and we're getting PCRs right beforehand. So just well, that's good. Otherwise, I do think like for holidays, COVID's gonna blow up the fuck up, like it did last year, which is unfortunate since we've gotten vaccines. But just like Glüme's message is, get tested even if you've been vaccinated, because you could still have it. Yeah. And you could give it to grandma, and don't do that.
Or little grandma. So, don't give it to grandma, guys. Don't give it to grandma. Get the vaccine.
Get the vaccine.
I am going to let you go soon, just because I know you're a very busy woman. But there are a couple topics I wanted to talk about that I talk about with all the guests who come on the show. And I think it's, Olivia's favorite part of the show. So I love talking about consciousness and what you think happens after you die. I think that's like one of the most entertaining topics that I could ever talk about. And all the listeners are probably so tired of hearing me tell you what I think, but I want to hear what you think. Because
what happens after you die?
Yeah, what happens after you die? I'm sure that you know.
I'm sure that I don't know is my main thing. But I would like there to be consciousness after I die. A lot of people say like, oh, there'll just be nothing, that'll be fine. Right. And that's cool. But I hate it. I want to live to be like 1,000. I am like not stoked about the whole like,
old
60
and dusty
to 90 years ish range.
Yeah.
I really like, I'm a melancholy person, but then I'm also like really I really enjoy living.
Yeah. So do you think maybe
I want there to be more, but like, obviously it would be different. Like, I don't know if it's like a dimensional thing or like like if everyone goes to heaven and we just like float on clouds with harps. I learned harp.
That'd be awesome.
Contribute to the harp thing.
Are you religious at all?
I was raised religious, but I'm kind of the problem is that I just couldn't say that I knew anything.
Yeah. I would say I'm spiritual, if anything.
I'm spiritual. Yeah, that's a good way to put it, because I just don't I couldn't tell you what is going to happen because I just don't know.
Yeah. I've had so much trouble with that too.
So I grew up I'm okay with that. I don't know. And I love the idea if everyone like went to heaven and had harps on clouds, like cool, fuck yeah. Or if like hell wasn't that bad. But like,
I was totally wrong and I'm okay with it.
Exactly. That would be cool, but I just like how do you know you don't have a unless you died and which no one did. So I'm my 20s were coming to grips with the idea that it was okay to just not know.
Yeah.
But what I would like is like a better version of this, like without COVID, and then just continued on, but like maybe like a few less limitations. Like maybe like we could like fly or something
There
cool.
you go.
I don't know,
Yeah.
like some sort of upgrade. I don't know, but like
You'd have to wear goggles.
and then like maybe people wouldn't be like as ignorant. Maybe people would like be like, oh, I shouldn't judge people by like who they love and the color of their skin, etc. Maybe like that goes away after you die. That'd be great. But I don't know. Like I would like it to look like a Busby Berkeley film, which is selfish. But I don't know that everyone would. So.
Yeah, I used to think that life would look a lot better if it was like a Wes Anderson film, and then I was like, I don't know about that anymore.
Yeah, if you died and everything was pastel.
Yeah.
No, I already have that here, so it just is gone now. If you were watching earlier, and
I know what happened. It's like
the light is very
dark,
far away, and the light seems to be fine from my computer for me. I don't know.
Yeah,
if you can't see me, tell me. I'll
did
find
we?
a light.
No, it's fine. Did someone turn off the lights, or did it? The
no,
sun
the
go
sun
down?
went down. Yeah.
Okay.
It's
Yeah,
dark now.
it's dark here too.
It's 5:00, so
it's very It's like I think it's 7:00 here.
Yeah.
So I grew up in a Christian household. I mean, we went to church only because my grandfather went to church, you know. So I grew up going to church, and then like later in life, you know, after experimenting with things that maybe become spiritual, I started thinking like, what if like when you die, you just like relive your life over and over, and that explains deja vu. It's like, what if there's just no limit? And then what if like karma is something that affects your next life? So if you're a piece of shit this life, it's going to affect your next life, not this life. You know, people will be like, oh, well, karma's going to get him. Well, no, not until he's reborn again.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's really weird. And what if the reason why you don't like remember being born is because you need that transition where your consciousness is like regenerating? Ooh. You know, like when you die, your consciousness, it's like muted. And then there has to be a gap. Otherwise, you're going to remember dying. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
I'm into that.
I knew you would. I knew you would love that.
I'm into that. Given the fact that I like this life, I would like to just have a shot.
So if you're really good for Christmas, Santa will come and bring you gifts next life.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
What about aliens? Have you ever seen any UFOs or anything?
I have had no pleasure of seeing anything, but I fully believe in aliens.
Yes.
I really want to see one. I'm like not scared. Like I believe in ghosts. I believe in aliens. I've not seen any, and I'm really frustrated about it.
You've never seen a ghost?
I've never seen a ghost, and I'm totally fine with it too. Some people are scared of ghosts, and I am not scared of ghosts. Like my friends, we worked on set for the last film I was in, and we had to work at a psychiatric center that was like in business in like the 40s. Mm-hmm. And so it felt weird. Like definitely it was a kid psychiatric hospital. So and like just like the tools that were left behind, like so it was haunted. Yeah. And I was like so ready. I was like, oh, this is it. I'm gonna see a ghost. And this is like if you're gonna see one anywhere, it's an abandoned psychiatric hospital. Mm-hmm. No, I didn't see any. And everyone said they like felt them and like whatever. And I feel like that too, but like I want, like everyone has a story where they like saw something in like a room in like an old house. I want that. And I deserve that because I'm not scared of them. A lot of my friends, I'm like, come on in. Like a lot of my friends are super scared of ghosts, and they're like, on set, everyone was like walking together, huddled up in a group when like we had to go to like a dark hall. Yeah. I'd be walking by myself, like, come on, like, hi, like, and then someone's like, oh my God, are you gonna walk down there by yourself? And I'm like, yeah, I'm trying to, like, you're screwing this up. I'm like, you're scaring them away. I want.
Oh my God.
I want to be alone.
Do you have a
that I'm
Ouija
less
board?
threatening. I don't have a Ouija board.
You know what?
I was raised in a religious home, and that's the one thing I'm scared of.
You know what we should do? We should do another episode and get Olivia on here. We should all get a Ouija board.
Okay, if someone else does it, that's fine.
Dude, we should have a seance.
I would love to do that with Olivia.
And try to get spirits.
This is basically like the film we just made. This is us, and this will basically just be.
Yeah, we could just do a YouTube short
yeah.
podcast, short film podcast. Let's see if something happens.
Changed.
Yeah,
that would be great.
So, okay, so when does the movie come out? Can you talk about that at all, or the name of the movie?
I can tell you, it's called The Blue Rose.
Okay.
I don't know when it comes out.
Okay.
I've seen a little bit of it and I'm really excited. But I want to see the whole thing.
Well, roll out a red carpet for us and just tell us everything that you're doing right now, when we could expect like your new album and where they could find, like everything that you do, just so listeners can kind of find you.
Okay, cool. So my Instagram is at Baby Glüme, and it's GLUME. And then just like actually my legal name. People are like, "What's your name?" And I'm like, Glüme. They're like, "What's your real name?" I'm like, "It's Glüme." Album, I don't know. I don't have a date for that. I think we're gonna drop a single from it in the new year. I don't know if it's top of the year or like maybe the next month then, but that's coming. We shot the music video for it, which I think I can tell you. The video was shot by Jay Van Hoy. He did like The Lighthouse and The Witch.
Ooh.
And so it was this super crazy honor that he was the producer of the film I was just in.
That's incredible.
And we were at a bar after with like the cast, and I was like, "What's next for you, Jay?" And I was like joking because it's like this like famous producer and he has plenty of things coming. And he's like, "I don't know, maybe I'll make a music video with you." And I was like, "What? Why?"
That's incredible.
You have better things to do. Like I can assure you. I'm like, okay. And he's like, "No, it sounds super fun." And I was like, he's like, "I really liked Glass Candy and Chromatics on your label." So, and I was like, "Oh," I was like, "You're serious?"
That's
fuck
so
yeah.
Cool.
So we made a really cool video that I'm really excited about.
That's awesome.
That'll be like in the new year. And then the album will follow. And I love it. I'm so excited.
I'm so excited.
Yeah. And then tour is definitely going to happen. Like definitely at least by like probably summer. I think there'll be like actual extensive touring and not just like shows here and there.
I'm sure you love like just like being in front of people and being on stage versus
much more comfortable than like being in a coffee shop.
Yeah.
Ordering.
Yeah. That's awesome.
It gives me way much more anxiety.
Yeah.
It's weird. Like that moment at the end of checking out a grocery store where they've handed you your change on top of your cash and the receipt, and you have to get it all in your wallet in the proper compartments. And this lady is in a hurry.
Yes.
And they're done with you. So technically they can move on to her. But the only thing stopping the entire process is you getting the change in the change purse and the cash. Yeah. And like, fuck that. Being on stage is so much more relaxing.
Yeah.
Than going to the grocery store. When people are like, "Oh, I'm so scared to go on stage," I'm like, it's fine. People clap for you. They say yay when you do things. When you're like out in the world, it's much scarier.
Right.
No one cares, like, so that's how I think of it. I'm much more comfortable up there doing that stuff that I've practiced and I know I'm doing it. I know why I'm doing it. And it's like, rather than just like going about the world and being like, so.
Yeah. I totally agree with you. Even though like whenever I go on stage, like I'm super nervous at first, but then when I do it, I'm just like, oh yes. Yeah. This is what I wanted.
If I haven't done it my first show after like years, I was like, for the first song, I was like, I have adrenaline, which my body shouldn't have because I have heart disease. But I was like, after that, I was like, no, this is really cool.
Well,
So,
I'm going to keep my eyes peeled for when you come to Texas, and I'll be sure and be there.
Yes.
I cannot wait to hear your
March.
next album. Thank you so much for coming on.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure.
It has been a pleasure. And I can't wait to see what's next.
Sounds good.